Hey friends, welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Kelsey, and amongst the world as it turns right now, the most exciting thing that has happened to me as of late is that I have found out that I am going to be moving in a few months. I'm very excited to say that I will be living alone, which I know for a lot of people can be very, very nerve-wracking. It's my preferred way of living, but I know for a lot of people, it's like, well, what do you do with yourself? It's really tough because we live in an increasingly inaccessible society in terms of being able to sustain a life while living alone. It's just becoming more and more expensive to live somewhere, much less, cost of living in terms of other things like feeding yourself, clothing yourself, living a life. So I'm very lucky to be able to move into another place that will be just for me. And I also know that a lot of people live alone out of necessity and less because they want to. Either way, I think that, living alone even at some point in your life can be just like a really good learning experience for yourself, not just about learning to do like the basic things by yourself, but it's also a really interesting time to just get to know yourself in a different way. So I wanted to share some of my favorite things about living alone. I think when we are kind of maneuvering our lives, we often just kind of fall into routines that other people have set for us, which isn't necessarily wrong, but if you are living alone, you kind of have a little bit more freedom to create those rituals that are kind of uninfluenced by others. Make a kind of schedule or ritual that's like all your own, whether you are a night owl or an early riser. Living alone means that you don't really have to consider anyone else. For instance, I love pure silence. Me and my coffee for the first 30 minutes of the day. Don't want to hear anything, don't want to talk about anything. I just want pure silence. And if you're living with somebody, that can kind of come across as rude, and it's not. I'm not trying to be rude, it's just a preference. And when you live alone, you kind of get to do those little things that you don't really think of. Living alone, I think, also gives you a really deep appreciation of your social circle. You're not relying on other people for entertainment or for kind of attention engagement. I know for me that I kind of get to choose which relationships I invest in, spend the time with people who make you feel joy, and kind of lets you be more discerning about who you choose to spend your time with and who you choose to invest in terms of your relationships. Living alone also, you kind of get a chance to tune in to what it is that you like, what you want. You can explore new things. You have both the physical and mental space to be able to allow yourself to be drawn into whatever makes your heart sing, whatever pulls you towards it without being kind of influenced by others. That kind of leads me into thinking about what passions you choose to explore when you live alone. You can kind of embrace passions or interests without feeling self-conscious. I've been trying to teach myself piano again. I've been drawing a little bit more. And when you just start at something or you just kind of restart something, chances are you're gonna suck at it. At least that's the case for me a lot of the time. And it's tough to kind of dive into new things when you are kind of have an audience. I definitely wouldn't have started this channel if I didn't have my own living space away from the roommate that I have now. There's just something about having that little time and space to be kind of not on 100% that is actually kind of liberating. Living on your own also kind of encourages not only self-reliance, but it encourages you to kind of get to know yourself and like yourself a little bit more. If you're always surrounded by people and you don't have to spend all that much time with yourself, sometimes it can be that you don't really know yourself at all. Learn to enjoy your own company. Learn things about yourself and check in with yourself. Curate a life that is designed by you for you. You know, when we are in our living space, especially if you're living alone, you know, you kind of get to choose what you introduce to your life and what you eliminate from your life. You become this ultimate influence on your own life, which is pretty cool. One of the most important parts of living alone, and one of the reasons that I prefer to live alone, is that you kind of get to create a sanctuary. As somebody who's recently come to have to spend a lot of time at home, I want my home, and I think a lot of us want our homes to feel like a restorative place, not somewhere we walk into and we just feel even more drained. Don't feel bad about making investments into your space, especially if it is what makes it most comfortable for you. I already have Pinterest boards of what my living space is going to look like, how I'm going to set everything up, because that's kind of what makes me feel happy and what makes me feel very safe, calm, and collected. There's something about being able to have everything that you want where you want it. But ultimately, I think that living alone, especially having lived alone right when I moved out from my parents' house, I kind of catapulted into being more independent than I already was. I had to learn to do everything on my own. I felt very fulfilled in that, you know, you feel like you've mastered something. I've mastered how to be self-reliant, almost to a fault, some would argue. Yeah. But yeah, I can't wait to be back to living on my own and getting to enjoy all of the things that come with that. It's just going to be so nice. Just a highlight of the spring, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And again, living alone really isn't for everybody. I have a friend who lives alone, but she's definitely on the extroverted end. So there are times where she is like, I feel lonely, and it's like, that's not something I ever feel, but it is very different for everyone. And not to say that everything that I've highlighted is going to be like, yeah, that sounds really great and I really want to experience that. You might be like, whoa, that's a little much, and that's fine. I think that there is a place where everyone kind of falls, where they feel like happiest and healthiest, and that's going to be different for all of us. But I think that the major takeaway is that, you know, you should feel very empowered by being alone and in your solitude, and not be lonely or, you know, sad because of the loneliness. There's a happy medium. Let me know down below if there's anything that you don't like or do like about living alone. I really hope that, you know, once I make this move over to the new place, I'll really be able to fall into myself a little bit more. Please like and subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see you in the next video.
I had a feeling you'd come back.